In today's video, we're going to go ahead and talk about whether or not we are moving into a new era of AI, which is forward deployed engineering, whether or not this is hype, and how you can go ahead and actually make a transition if you are curious about this role. At the very end of this video, I'm also going to show you how to get access for free to our 15-step Claude Certified Architect Foundation Study Guide, as well as the FDE or Forward Deployed Engineering Career Playbook. My name is Rich. I'm one of the co-founders here at Tech Careers. And let's just go ahead and talk about, most importantly, how much money has actually been committed so far. Why is there this much amount of capital being deployed in such a short amount of time by the biggest players in the game? What's the problem that they're trying to solve, and how do you take advantage of this opportunity and position yourself in? Because I know a lot of you may have tried to make a transition before in the past. Maybe you're coming out from a software engineering background and you're wondering, I have a technical background. Why wasn't I able to make this transition? Maybe you've done a few interviews before, or maybe you're coming in from a non-technical background and you're wondering to yourself, is it too late for you to get in? You don't have a coding background. How do you also go ahead and get in on the fun as well? Let's go ahead and get started. Let's take a look at the raw numbers. Amazon, Microsoft, OpenAI, and Anthropic just spent $9 billion on forward deployed engineers. And this is all within a 5-week span. This summer, these announcements were made largely within days of each other, even though this has probably been in the works for about more than a few months now. The money, I think, is very much real. It's moving very quickly right now. And let's just take a look at what the raw numbers are. Amazon committed $1 billion for AWS, and this happened on June 30th, 2026, which really wasn't that long ago, and they're embedding AWS engineers directly into customer teams such as NFL, Southwest Airlines, just to name a few. Microsoft responded 2 days later by committing $2.5 billion and 6,000 people. They have launched their own Microsoft Frontier company, kind of means forward deployed engineering, and they are embedding their own people into the London Stock Exchange Group, Unilever, Accenture, and etc. And the numbers here, let's take a look at this. $2.5 billion with the B, and they are bringing on 6,000 forward deployed engineers and support members to go ahead and move this effort along. OpenAI is standing up their own company, and it's backed by more than $4 billion with a 19-firm syndicate led by TPG, Bain Capital, Brookfield, Goldman Sachs, and McKinsey are partners in this joint venture. Meanwhile, you also had OpenAI acquiring an existing FD consultancy known as Tomorrow. And Anthropic is partnering up with Goldman Sachs and Blackstone on a $1.5 billion FDE venture. You combine this, and you got $9 billion here. We haven't even done the full accounting, but these are some of the biggest names. You're talking about Goldman Sachs. You're talking about Blackstone. You're talking about McKinsey. You're talking about OpenAI. You're talking about Amazon. You're talking about Microsoft. These are companies that they don't make bets based on fads or one-off trends. You're talking about 4 companies over $7.5 billion. Let me go out there and correct this. $9 billion in combined capital commitment, thousands of open roles, all within the 60-day window, all racing towards one job function. I've never seen anything like this before. This is the most important part that people scroll past without letting it really register. This isn't marketing spend. It's headcount and capital, publicly disclosed, and from companies that just don't make billion-dollar bets off of just fads and trends. I don't really think this is a coincidence. These numbers are pretty apparent. And it comes down to, what's the problem that we're trying to solve? What's the problem that 4 boardrooms independently arriving to the same conclusion around the same time, which I think if we take a look at the problem these moves are trying to solve and address, I think it just really makes sense. The next $1 trillion AI business is all with implementation. Why? Because we actually don't really know how to use these AI tools and models as well as the industry experts. So they've been sold to us and they're sold to these companies, but the ROI, it's getting harder and harder to justify. Take a look at this. Uber CEO saying it's getting harder to justify the money being spent on AI token vaccine. And he's not alone. We're spending all of this money, and what are we really getting back? What are we really getting back on our investment of time, energy, and money? Shamit says soaring AI token spend will hit company earnings, and a lot of experts already argue that it already has. Meta's Adam Mosseri says AI token budgets could soon be capped per engineer. Cognition CEO Scott Wu says tech companies got carried away with token leaderboards. And this isn't just some of these guys that are very recognizable in the industry. Practically every company that we've talked to feels the same way. So why does the forward deployed engineering role command such a high salary? Well, that's also for a few reasons as well. You got to be a person that's actually customer facing with technical fluency is actually pretty rare. You're pretty, we dub internally in our team, like you're pretty exotic Pokemon. You're a rare Pokemon because you got to be able to go out there and actually build. You have to know how to identify and drive revenue opportunities. You have to be able to support deployment. And you have to be able to do all of this, like sales, engineering, and drive customer success. That's not an easy person to go ahead and find. But the good news for you is that the industry recognizes this. So this is why we need to train up this entire generation of forward deployed engineers, because AI is here. We're not putting the cat back into the box. We actually need more forward deployed engineers. So there's a very small subset of people that are alive right now across the world that actually have these skills. So if you're feeling like, well, I could do this, but I can't do that, or I could do this, but not do these two, that's totally okay, because they're not expecting everybody to come in here at the highest quality special forces level talent. They are looking for people that they can go ahead and train up. And generally speaking, you'll have some people that play one role better than the other. And it comes down to how a company feels that you can actually learn these skills. How long would it actually take you? And that's what our program focuses a lot, is just leveling up your weaknesses and turning them into your strengths. So you've got a person that's either technical, that has also the customer-facing acumen. Revenue identification is a trained skill, honestly, not a personality trait. You can learn this. Deployment willingness is structurally scarce. Most of the workforce opted out of travel and on-site work over the last few years. FDEs opted back in, and we're moving back in here. But it's actually not as much travel as you would actually think. Deployment level AI proficiency is also rare because the industry here doesn't know how to use AI. The general population here doesn't know how to use AI as well as they actually need to. So you're actually learning a skill to teach other people a skill that everybody actually needs to learn. Also, there's one more reason that a lot of people are sleeping on this, which is the best unicorn startup founders. I wouldn't say that they came from a forward deployed engineering background, but it has been dubbed as the best unicorn startup founder training ground, which is, if you take a look at the data, just this year alone, and this is from independent analysis from Fast Company, and the CEO of Paraform, John Kim, also listed this out. 335 documented Palantir alumni have gone on to found their own companies. That's just this year alone, as of January 2026. Not counting the ones that we actually have, and counting, because we still have people that have not been, that didn't make it on this list, that are actually in the process of launching their own companies. This is not an accident. The FDE role, all of these skills right here is founder training. Being a person right now that can go out there and actually sell, but it's also got the technical acumen, that double dangerous combination, very rare, but very necessary in today's market. If you're trying to launch your own startup, you got to be able to go out there and do both. Knowing how to identify revenue opportunities, that is almost entirely your job as a founder. Your willingness to go out there and actually deploy is one aspect of it, but you're constantly dealing with all these different people, all these different personalities, all these different egos, and a high level of AI proficiency. This is the best founder training that's out there. Nate from Commonweal Ventures also said this. Per 10,000 employees, let's take a look at this. Palantir has produced 63 unicorns founders. Bain & Company comes in second. For those who don't know, these are management consulting firms. Bain & Company is second at 29. McKinsey is at 17.5. Goldman Sachs comes in fourth at 14.2. And Google comes in at number 5 with 12. So if you're taking into account every 10,000 employees, Palantir is producing 63 unicorn founders. You take 63, 29, 17 and a half, 14, and then you got 12. It's kind of it's not like guaranteed, but like it's kind of pretty clear that companies aren't just trying to hire for tech workers anymore. They are trying to hire for future unicorn startup founders, because in this business, you will at some point eventually leave, and you're either going to go on to add value into another organization, or if we give you the best shot, the best people that are working on the job right now, they're going to start their own company someday. Those are the kinds of people that companies want to hire because they eventually can invest in them. Think about it. If you go over, the whole business model has been predicated on, and this is the same for almost every industry. You make a bunch of money, you deploy that capital, and you invest it into other ventures. Any venture that you invest in feels risky because you just don't know how the founder is going to go ahead and perform. But if you actually had somebody with a proven track record of generating revenue, you know they're extremely customer facing, you know they have a high degree of technical AI fluency, you've actually seen their war record, their battle record, you know how much revenue they generated, you know how many hours they've logged in terms of like the customers that they've talked to and the value that they've actually delivered. It just makes sense that you feel that they are a less risky investment, right? So why we don't think, and you know what, this could be a fad, but why we don't think this is a fad is the forward deployed engineering model has been here since 2011. It's not a new, it's a new title that's gotten really hot recently, but the title has existed in Palantir since 2011. If you take a look at A16Z, one of the largest VCs right now, Financial Times and Business Insider, this has been the growth since 2024, and it's just been shooting up, and it's going higher and higher and higher and higher. We have a 700% surge in roles just in the past 12 months alone. If these people weren't adding actual value, you wouldn't have $9 billion being committed. You wouldn't have $9 billion being committed in the amount of time, because I honestly do believe that the next $1 trillion AI business is all in the implementation, because everybody that I talk to wants to learn AI. They want to be better at using AI, but the existing education is so horrible, and at the end of the day, you're just going to need a human being there. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and actually wrap this thing up. You know, where do you fit in? Well, you could be somebody that's like a senior software engineer, solutions architect, technical consultant. We get a lot of management consultants that are calling us about the program. The reality is you don't need to be technical, because the number of positions that are just opening right now in existence is pretty massive. Microsoft alone is putting up 6,000. That's their number. The only variable you can control right now is basically where it is that you start, because we got $9 billion of combined capital, all decisions made within days of each other in less than 5 weeks into the summer. We currently, right now, at the time of the recording of this video, we're in the middle of July. This is not hype. This has actually been in planning for a while, because the AI token spend has gotten out of control. It's, you know, some companies are reporting, like Chamath has been reporting, that it's been doubling every 45 days. This is it hasn't gotten it's not to the point where it's like, you know, this is getting unsustainable. No, it's been unsustainable for a long time. So the $1 billion forward deployed engineering arms race is here. This is actually a very interesting article here, why every AI company is spending $1 billion to embed engineers in their own customers. And I've actually listed out a few of the reasons for you here today. The next thing is, we always get this, do I need prior FDE experience to go ahead and actually break in? Like, no, companies are actively hiring for customer success managers, product managers, management consultants, investment banking analysts, and other professionals with customer-facing experience, in addition to software engineers, solutions architects, and consultants. They're actually hiring for these people. And again, the problem is so big, the existing talent pool, there just isn't enough talent for this. We are helping train this group up so we can actually solve this problem, because the more people that we get on the job, the more startup unicorn startup founders we're going to be releasing into the marketplace. So schedule a call today. If you actually one of the places that we actually have this video up is on LinkedIn with our LinkedIn newsletter, as well as our other newsletters that we're deploying here. But if like schedule a call, reach out to me immediately. You can go ahead and either book a call with us here on our YouTube channel, right here where it says schedule a consultation. My LinkedIn handle is also right here as well. And you can go out there and just ping me directly on LinkedIn. As promised, you can go ahead and access our Claude Certified Architect Foundation Study Guide right here. This is actually the link. If you're watching this actually on YouTube, you can go out there to go to WAP. You'll actually be able to access those resources there. And we also have something called the Forward Deployed Engineering Career Playbook, where we have resume, resources, hiring referrals. Get in contact with me right now. Get leveled up on your skills. Let's get your and let's go ahead and actually talk, because the market is moving fast on this, and there's just so much money to be made here. Champs, talk to you very, very soon. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not already.